You know, many people might suggest they wonder exactly why these particular people don't simply come out and sue the former royal known as Meghan Markle. Now, we're not talking, of course, about her indiscretion by forgetting that she'd assisted writing that now ill-fated book, amongst many other things, but this particular remit that she considers, well, basically her piece to resistance, and which has been repeated now around the world. Exactly how has she managed to escape such scrutiny? As ever, let me explain. Good to see you today. We're on the back again. Well, obviously you can tell, can't you? It's a beautiful London red bus and we're darting around from one thing to another. Parliament's now back in and, well, getting busier and busier. But as I've told you on previous videos, you know, politics is a strange thing, isn't it? You know, 6-7 weeks ago, people actually voted in this government and now already they're absolutely disgusted with them. That's popularity for you, isn't it? Some might say the same thing, of course, of the former royal known as Meghan Markle. You see, when she became, of course, the Duchess of Sussex on that wonderful bliss day, of course, all those years ago now in St. George's Chapel in Windsor, so many people actually bought into many things, of course, that the storyboard was presented with. You know, the background to her career, the Hollywood, the turning up with 5 million, of course, in her own purse. I think that's all about really, well, shall we say, to be kind, it's rather disputable to say the least. But there's one thing that Meghan keeps truly returning to time and time again, and it's this particular story. It's one about empowerment, and one that, of course, she likes to reiterate, to point out to anybody out there who's in any doubt that she's a force of nature to be reckoned with, and, of course, managed to change the world at just 11 years old. You know the thing I'm talking about. Now, only recently on her, shall we say, fake royal tour to Colombia, once again, she reiterated that particular story. And as I told you at the time, you know, you have to admire Prince Harry for being able to keep such a straight face. He must have heard it thousands of times now. She even did it on an earlier thing this year when she was sat alongside Katie Couric. And I pointed out and said it looked a little bit to me like the rest of them were taking the mickey out of her. That is, of course, the rise, the joke, whatever you used to call it in your part of the world. It's a strange, you know, thing, wasn't it? Why would you get her to say it again? Now, many people know the background to that story. It was a class project. It wasn't simply Meghan Markle. And I would actually squarely put the blame on her father at that particular point, Thomas Markle, because clearly he wanted to make his daughter feel good. And there was some visible engineering with his background. Everybody knows that, working in television. So the interesting thing is the company behind this alleged groundbreaking move by Meghan. Why have they never come out and contradicted her? Why, of course, did the class never really come out? Well, they did try, but nobody wanted to pick up that story. Now, regarding the company, here's where it gets really interesting, because you'll notice this one thing about Meghan when she tells that story. She never refers to the company. And the company is, of course, Procter & Gamble, or was at that time. And what's interesting is, unless, of course, she was to detail that company, then they would not want to look at legal recourse, as ever we have to say allegedly. You see, the reason behind this is that she's not actually bringing the company into disrepute by telling this story. She's reiterating it as her own story, her own quest, of course, to change the world at age 11 by writing to a soap manufacturing company. Well then, of course, you know, you see, this is all about just an 11-year-old girl wanting to change the world by writing, of course, to a soap manufacturing company. Well, then they can't really cite her as bringing that into disrepute. Some might say they could, and some might say they want to push it. But of course, the people that would have been at that company at that time have long since retired, certainly don't want the spotlight shining on them, as someone who, of course, would have commissioned the ad company to make that now ill-fated ad that apparently inspired Meghan, and more importantly, her classmates, to put pen to paper. Maybe one day when Meghan does decide to write that much taunted memoir, she may tell the truth behind this story and give credit to the rest of the people that truly made this particular vision happen. Shown on the back of a red London bus in the very heart of London.